Hey, good morning, Grumpy Nation. We're out here on our morning walk. Fancy's out here. She's a little pooped. We came up the big hill and we went over the top of it and we went down the other side. We went further this morning than we have on this road and, well, ever since we started walking, didn't we? Didn't we? You're a little pooped. Well, so here's what the hill looks like. That's looking back down towards the house. So yeah, good morning, not gonna lie. A little winded coming up the hill. That's why we're doing this, trying to get in shape. You know, I was out, had the animals out on the pasture last night and I was watching over them. And something happened that part of me wishes I had a camera, but another part of me is glad I didn't, because it's one of those memories that that's mine. It's specifically mine. I can share it with you through my words, but the image is mine. So we were out. Come on. What are you looking at? There's rabbits out this morning. We were out in the pasture and I saw some movement in the tree line, and the goats and sheep were out by the lane that I cut by the firing range. And I thought, oh, maybe it's a squirrel or something. That's kind of what it looked like. And I sat there, I was sitting in the grass, and all of a sudden, this young doe walks up. Gorgeous animal, she was beautiful. But she walked out, she couldn't have been more than 30, 35 yards away from me. And she didn't see me, but she saw the goats and sheep, and she stopped, and she just went dead still. And then her ears started twitching, and she was looking around, and she stood there probably a good minute before the goats and sheep saw her, and this one of the goats turned around and was looking at her, and then she's like, oh, I need to be someplace else. And she turned around and she just kind of trotted back into the trees and disappeared. But it's really cool. It's one of those instances that just is really special, and I got to see it. I'm glad I didn't have a camera, and I'm glad that gets to be my memory. I hope you guys, as you go through your day, I hope you're not so focused on everything that you're doing that you miss those type of moments, because they are special and they make life worth living, you know. So what was I thinking about on the way up the hill this morning, aside from that image last night? So I was reading an article yesterday about something called Operation Self-Reliance, and it's a intentional community up in Utah someplace. I want to say Joab, like Joab. I want to say that was the name of the town it was near, but I'm not 100% certain. So anyway, the article was describing this community, and basically you can go in and you can purchase a 2-acre lot, and you're responsible for building everything on it. There's no infrastructure. They've got unimproved roads going in, and that's it. Everything else is your responsibility. But when you buy these lots, you have to sign an agreement saying that you will build a shallow water well, you will use solar, and you will build a greenhouse, amongst a couple other things. And well, first off, what struck me was, sounds kind of like a prepper HOA, if you want to know the truth. You know, what happens if I buy my lot and I don't do this stuff? You know, well, if you don't do it, you're not gonna have any amenities, because they're not building rural water or electricity, so you won't have that. But from reading the article, apparently this is pretty far off the beaten track. I didn't do any more research into it. It's called Operation Self-Reliance, but I didn't do any more research into it. But this community's set up to not have to interact with the rest of the world if they don't want to. I started thinking about other places like that. Pastor Joe Fox, Viking Preparedness. He is part of an organization, they call it Shofar Mountain, and it's down in northern Arkansas. Cool idea. It's kind of like this Operation Self-Reliance. He's been doing it for years, and his his whole thing is the Christian idea of come out of her, my people, and to get like-minded people living down in this area, and they're secluding themselves away from the rest of the world. Buddy Brown, I don't know if you guys watch him or anything. He's got a YouTube channel. Musician, self-made millionaire. He does some cool content. Go check him out, Buddy Brown. But anyway, he just did. Nancy, what are you doing? Look at this. She's decided it's time to go off-road. Come on. Excuse me. But he just did a video about a concept called the American Outposts, which are basically a loose affiliation of bug out locations. You know, and it's I'm sure that the people with the idea of the American Outpost are like, ooh, it's new, so because we're doing it, but it's something that's been around forever. The idea of a bug out location, but they're doing it in a more purposeful manner than a lot of people have done it. And their idea is to get away, should something happen, to get away from everything and survive the turmoil. And I've talked about this before, but it bears talking about again. I applaud the idea of wanting to seal yourself away from anything bad that happens, right? I applaud that. Because basically, people suck. And if bad stuff starts happening, they seem to suck a lot worse. And secluding yourself away and not being involved with them until after everything settles down, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. There's one major drawback to it, as I see. As things fall apart, if you are secluding yourself away and sealing yourself off from the rest of the world, and you take that stance, they're not part of our group, they're not coming in, we can't trust them and all that stuff, which again is a viable reaction, and it's smart to think like that. But if you do that, you're removing yourself from any ability to influence things as they happen. And so what you're stuck with, you go into your community, you seal yourself off, and you wait until all the dust settles and you come back out. Well, there's going to be a power structure. There's going to be a power structure set up by the time you get done. You figure, no more than a week or two after things start happening, this new power structure is going to form. And if you're not there to influence it, you're going to be stuck dealing with whoever's in charge of it and whatever the dynamics are. And hopefully whenever you open your gates and you come out, there's sanity has prevailed, and there's a good lots of benevolence going on and lots of charity and stuff. Hope is a good thing, but it also leads to despair. I've said that before too. Hope can lead to despair if you don't do things right. Because you're hoping for the best and the worst happens. I'm not saying don't be overly pessimistic. What I'm saying is think about it realistically. So just like pre SHTF or disaster or whatever you want to call it, we want to be involved with our communities so that we can influence and guide them in a direction that we see fit. Just like that, post SHTF or disaster or anything, we need to be engaged with people while it's going on, because that's the way we influence it and we make things happen. And we can ensure, instead of hoping that a bad guy doesn't take over, we can ensure that a bad guy doesn't take over. Or at least place ourselves in a position where we can influence the situation and make it not happen, right? You know, I have faith in our abilities. I hope that we can influence things, and I have faith in our ability to do that. So when the time comes, I'm not going to be struck blindside by something bad that happened that I wasn't hoping for. All right. So be involved with your community beforehand, and while it's going on, be involved in the community then too. And yes, it does open us up. It opens up a threat vector that could be potentially disastrous. Benefits versus down, you know, the upside versus the downside. In my opinion, the upside of exposing ourselves to this threat, especially if we plan for it and we expect it to happen. You know, we mitigate it beforehand so it doesn't become as big a threat as what it could be if we didn't mitigate it. You know, and how does that mitigation work? You know, aside from the hang on a second, guys. I gotta switch hands. My hand's cramping up. You know, aside from mitigating it in the standard prepper trope by getting guns and training and doing all that stuff, we mitigate it because we've built social capital beforehand with people outside our circle in the greater community, right? So we've got a little bit of cachet, and if you seal yourself up and you come out, you know, even if you were involved with the community before whatever happened, and you've built up some social capital, if you seal yourself off and don't interact and you turn people away, you're going to burn that social capital, and you're going to burn it with no return on it. All right, but if you build, oh, there's a coon up there. There's a raccoon crossing the road, and Fancy's alerted on it. Oh, she sees it. Coon didn't see us though. Yeah, because it's walking right towards us. Anyway, so we're building the social capital, and if we don't help people through their hard times, we're going to burn that social capital with no avail. So in my mind, it makes more sense to be engaged, expose ourselves a little bit. You know, we don't do it recklessly, and if we are engaging and we figure out that, hey, we need to back off and we need to secure our position a little bit better, then we can do that. But at least we're out there being involved and helping people when and where we can. Right? Now, we're not running a charity, although we need to be charitable. We're not doing things for free, although we need to understand that we may not get paid in whatever form. I'm not talking money, I'm talking in whatever form. We may not get paid up front, but eventually it will come back. That capital investment of whatever sort it is will come back as long as we're open and we're helping people through their time of need. All right. So as usual, this is a call to action to get involved with your community now and be involved with people, interact with them, and generate this social capital for yourself. And then, should, God forbid, something happen, be involved. Don't seal yourself off. You know, don't put yourself at completely unnecessary risk, but don't seal yourself off. The plus and minuses of it all, in my opinion, far outweigh everything else. All right, the pluses far outweigh the minuses, is what I meant to say. You know. So speaking of community, if you're not a subscriber and you want to join our virtual community here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Do all the stuff that helps the YouTube algorithm, right? If you want to support the channel, again, probably the best thing right now in my mind is we've got the RockPot affiliation, and if you're looking for an off-grid solution for cooking, it is a fantastic alternative when it comes to off-grid cooking. Right, you can use our code down below and get yourself one. Most importantly, if you guys are going out in the day, or going out today and interacting with people, I want you to not only do it for yourself, but help other people pursue a life done free. Okay, take care. Thanks, Milo.